I got another waveform analysis for you today, and again, it comes from New Zealand, but this time from Grunter. I live up here in northern Canada, but I've had the pleasure of touring New Zealand for a month on a self-drive. Covered the North and South Islands, covered a lot of ground. Beautiful country. Up in here is the Bay of Plenty, and it's near that area that Grunter owns his automotive shop. Beautiful part of the world here. Grunter's been a follower of this channel from the early days. He remembered Gadgets number 79, where I explored being able to scope the health of each segment on an armature. While it's spinning at over 20,000 RPM, it equates to about 500,000 segments that fly around per minute. And we're trying to see if each one is pulling its weight. The first step is to capture a relative compression test. An amp clamp like this with a 400 Hertz bandwidth is not capable of the level of detail that we're seeking here to be able to see all of those segments. It is better to do an AC coupled relative compression test where we're trying to capture the voltage drop across the battery as we crank. So AC coupled relative compression tests are kind of upside down compared to what we're used to with an amp clamp. So this was a high amp draw, but also a voltage drop on the battery. All of these are peaks as far as current draws, but they're voltage drops on the battery. For the purposes of this video, I'm not inverting that. We're going to use it like this. To give ourselves a better chance of seeing the detail of individual segments contained in here, we're going to try to knock down some of these real big peaks as each cylinder compression came about. And for that, we're going to be using a high-pass filter. And I find a 33 Hertz high-pass filter works pretty good for that. And what that filter does is that it gives us these flat areas in between those compression peaks that we can peruse and try to find details of each rotation and each segment within the rotation of that starter armature. I invite you to watch Gadgets number 79, where I go into more detail. I will not repeat everything here. The reason I'm doing another video on this topic is that at the time of 79, I did not have on hand a bad starter. And I think that Grunter may have supplied us with one here. And the second reason is that I wanted to show a different approach to interpreting the waveform. So this is a little bit like not seeing the forest for the trees. So instead of being zoomed in so much that we're trying to see each individual segment, that's what these are, little voltage drops on each segment. We're going to be zooming out until we have on the screen maybe 3 or 4 rotations of the armature. So how do we do that, you ask? Okay, so let's introduce a 360-degree overlay. Right now it says 11,900 RPM. So we know that these things turn in excess of 20,000. Let's just bunch this up a little bit until we get closer to 20,000. There we are, 2021. That represents somewheres close to 1 rotation of the armature. And so if that's 1, we're trying to get the equivalent of about 3 or 4 on here. That'd be about zoomed in just about right. So when we look at that, what do we see? Well, roughly the width of this, right? If you look at here to there, and again from here to there, and from here to there, that kind of repeats. That tells me that this has to be pretty close to a rotation. Let's expand a little bit and anchor this. right here. I'm gonna spread that a little bit. And right there. Okay. We have fairly uniform voltage drops across here until it hits a bad spot where you get a heavy voltage drop followed by everything relaxing, not much amp draw. Another area where you're kind of level, and it repeats. It repeats again here, every revolution, and again here. That's a bad armature. So either the segments are bad, or the windings connected to the segments in this area are bad, but we're able to see that there's a problem with that starter. A starter plus labor, that's a few $100. So you can have a screenshot of this or a report, and especially on an intermittent problem, be able to justify to the customer why you're recommending that you replace the starter. It's a daunting task to be sure. It's incredible that we can see that level of detail. It speaks to the power of an oscilloscope and our ability to interpret what it captures. I want to thank Grunter for the waveform, and catch you guys soon.